myself and my co-host Sledge. How are you this afternoon, Sledge?
Oh, I'm excellent. I'm staying in out of the cold, and I get to hang out with your friendly face. How you doing, Murray?
Yeah, pretty good for another weekend of isolation. It's a bit wintry this afternoon. It feels like it should be hockey season. I've got the heater on and the socks on, and
Yeah, it's come in basically on cue straight after Anzac Day on the weekend that would have been our first game against the North Stars here at home, and then a road trip up to Sydney tomorrow. So it would have felt nice and cold, which every game against the North Stars usually does. There's usually not much friendly faces coming down from Newcastle.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an interesting week of isolation. Same as last week of isolation, pretty much. Every day blends one into the other, except for today where we do Brave Live. So we've got some exciting things on for this afternoon. We're going to be talking with Brave CEO Dan Amodio and the ever favourite CBR Brave player Kai Miettinen.
Yeah, if you don't know Kai, you haven't been paying attention. A local favourite since the dawn of the Brave, almost. He's come up from juniors. He's been around forever. The fans know him as Mittens, probably because most of them can't say his last name. That's it's the usual thing with our European players. Also, while we're here, everyone tuning in, get in your Brave questions, your Brave burning questions. We'll ask the guys that at the end of the video. The more you can send in, the more we can pick through, and we can probably get a laugh out of the guys.
Absolutely. And on that note, thanks, Sledge. Let's go into our interview with Dan Amodio. Hey, Dan, how are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon, guys. Doing well. How are you?
Very good here.
Yeah, can't complain. How are you doing? Oh, already asked you. So, Dan, you're stepping in. You've been a part of the Brave for the last season. You've come from the Cavalry. And how are you planning to transition things from Cavalry to the Brave this season that was meant to be?
That still doesn't feel right, the season that was meant to be. So it just doesn't feel right to say. But you're right. We had a great first season last season, getting to know everybody, getting to know the members, getting to know the sponsors, getting to know the playing group and the coaching group. And I could not be more impressed with the group that the team had put together over the last handful of years. So it was really great to have that foundation down there. And then using our background with the Cavalry, one of the things that we noticed is how similar the businesses are. How not only what you see either on the field or on the ice and the way things are constructed, but the passion that the fan group has and the loyalty that the sponsor group has was just really impressive to see. So listen, we've got a lot of ideas that some of them we're not going to likely have the opportunity to put into play this season, but we've still got some good stuff planned. This is a great example of it. You guys have kicked off something that's just an excellent production here. So one of these ideas is going to come to light, and then we'll keep a couple of other ideas in the pocket and bring them out when ready.
In terms of talking about this season, what do you think the opportunities are there potentially for some kind of hockey to happen this season?
We are really hopeful that there will be something to play on the ice and something for the community to watch. Unfortunately, it's kind of out of our hands. We exist in a world, as everyone that's watching this will know, that's slightly different from some of the other sports that are starting to return now. You see the Raiders starting to get back on TV, and the AFL is starting to plan their return. They're going to be playing in front of empty stadiums. That only works when you have a national organization that has a broadcast deal that just pours money into the teams and into the league. We have a fantastic broadcast plan, and the Foxtel deal is great. And the team at Wonky has been working hard on putting a great live stream product on the ice that we were planning on doing this season. However, we don't have that big profitable broadcast deal. So for us, when you factor that in, plus the fact that, we currently are not even allowed to host events where there's any sort of gathering in place. So I think there's still some hope for something happening towards the end of what would be the season, say July or August, something that would be a scaled back version of what to expect. And believe me, we will be ready to take any opportunity we can get to play something. But at the moment, we're just trying to predict the future and be as flexible as possible.
And I heard you were just saying before we went on the air that there was some potential that our amazing rink owner, John Rout, has been doing some maintenance on the rink in the downtime.
He considered it to be much needed, and I think overdue. And when you look at a rink like that, which is so heavily utilized, I mean, ice hockey, Brave Ice Hockey is just one of the many user groups that are constantly knocking down the door to get on the ice. So it's hard to take a break. And I'm really happy to hear that while this break was unexpected and none of us would have chosen it, it's really great to hear that the ice center is getting a bit of a facelift during the downtime.
That's very exciting to hear. I'm sure the referees will be very excited with some clear lines on the ice to go onto. And for the other Brave fans that don't know, Dan's actually had a bit of a life-changing event happen just over this coronavirus period. You have a new son, Dan.
Yes, on March 14th. So just, let's see, 7 weeks ago today, just when things were starting to get crazy, as if it couldn't get crazy enough, Kirsten and I had a beautiful little baby boy. And listen, if you're going to force me to stay at home without anything to do, without any distractions, this was probably the best possible time to do it, because we've had a great opportunity to spend some time. And I got my daddy duty going. I've got my baby Bjorn that I've been wearing around the house and on for walks. So I've been living the full daddy life. It's been great.
That's great to hear. And if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask our CEO, Dan Amodio, and get them answered here today, get on the comments and wait for our Brave Burning Question segment, which is coming up. Sledge, did you have anything else that you'd like to ask our CEO?
Yeah, I've got two more questions for you, Dan. How long have you been watching hockey? What is your experience with ice hockey before taking part in the Brave?
Yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, which is Ice Hockey Central, the northeast part of the USA. I've never played it myself, but I was always a fan, especially coming with the baseball background. Ice hockey is a great change of pace. It's fast, it's action-packed, it's excellent. So I've always enjoyed the game. I spent a couple of years living in Columbus, Ohio, and was there when the Columbus Blue Jackets entered the NHL, and that's when it sort of changed gears for me. I properly became a CBJ fan, and started really getting into the sport. So I've learned so much about ice hockey just in the past 12 months at the same time. And I've really started to enjoy it.
That's excellent. You don't find enough Blue Jackets fans around, I feel. They're a team who's achieved, despite being the underdog in pretty much everything. It's excellent to hear. My next question for you, which Cavalry player do you think could make the transition to ice hockey if they put themselves through it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, in order to answer that question, you've got to probably pick the guy who is the most fearless on the team. Pick the guy who is not afraid of a little bit of action, not afraid of a little bit of contact, and is pretty good at the smack talk as well, from what I've observed about the ice hockey crew. So my choice is going to be Steve Kemp. He's the star pitcher for the Cavalry. He's probably the best pitcher, for my money. He's the best pitcher in all of Australia, which means he's also going to have the goods. He's a southpaw. He's a lefty, so you're going to have to work with him on that one. But he's got the kind of fire and the kind of passion that would translate very well to the ice.
Sounds like we need to get him onto the ice in 2021.
He's one of those guys that would be good at anything he does.
Very good. Well, thanks for joining us, Dan. And if any of you out there have a question that you'd like Dan to answer, please get online and put a question in the comments, and we'll come back to you in the Brave Burning segment.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on, guys, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. And so now, Sledge, we're going to have a chat with our very own Kai Miettinen.
Our local favourite, number 64, Miettinen. As I said before, if you don't know him, you haven't been paying attention. He's been working his way up the ranks. He's a locker room guy. The guys all love him. And back when we had our first big win against the dominant Melbourne Ice, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was one of my favourite videos of Kai dancing away in the change rooms after that big win. So without further ado, Kai Miettinen.
There we are. Welcome, Kai. How are you this afternoon?
Good day, Leo. Hey, thank you for having me.
There's always room for more mittens on this show.
Oh, excellent. That's good to hear. One right here. So, yeah, thank you for having me again. Pleasure.
So is it 159 games, 26 goals, 36 points? What a big career in hockey for the CBR Brave.
Yeah, wish you didn't read my stats out loud in life. Could have read my heaves out and just pretended they're mine. I mean, but yeah, it's been a while. Been playing for the Brave for the whole time, I suppose, and then with the Knights a few seasons before. So yeah, I guess I've been a little bit now.
So what have you been doing to keep busy during isolation?
Well, I've been landscaping, which has been quite nice. It's been a different change from my office job that I had prior to this. I got with all the COVID stuff, I got stood down. So when I got some work doing some landscaping for one of actual Canberra local hockey legends, Rocky Pageant, who's a landscaping business. I've been working for him, and his daughter Riley actually won a gold medal on Stu Cook's women's team earlier this year. So it's a little fun fact for everyone. But yeah, so I've been doing some work there, and I like to think of it as off-ice training at the same time. So that's what I've been doing. And apart from that, I've been trying to keep in some sort of shape. What kind of shape that is, I'm not really sure. But if there is a season that comes around, I'll be ready to go. And I've been working on my hooping too. I've been playing a lot of basketball in local courts. Sinking trees. I might dunk one day. We'll see how that goes. I'm working on it, but yeah, it's been all right.
Absolutely. So I think it'd be great to just ask you some questions about you're one of the alternate captains for the Brave. Can you give me an idea about what that's like? What sort of responsibility do you have as an alternate captain?
Oh, I mean, I guess any sort of leadership role comes with some responsibility, but I mean, it's one of those things that it can be pretty tough to do. And I'll be honest, like I've had struggled with it in recent few years, where to draw the line sometimes and how to be the best leader you can be. But really, I think it's just about being a big team guy, putting the team and the success of the team before yourself and your own goals and everything. And yeah, just having fun with the guys and trying to keep everyone together. I mean, that's the kind of the way I've approached it, and trying to continue to do that. And having guys like Joe Hughes and Remo and Geordie, having played under these guys, such great leaders, really try to take pointers from them and pick up on some of their really good traits they have as a leader, and yeah, try to incorporate that a little bit into the way I approach things. So yeah, getting there, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think it's about.
Absolutely. In thinking of leadership, who do you think has been the biggest influence on you in your hockey career?
in my hockey career, as in like guys I played with, probably like I said, Rimo and Geordie. I mean, from probably like as I was younger, watching the team, they were the leaders, and then coming into the team as a rookie, they were the leaders as well. So I guess I've spent a lot of time under them, and those are definitely the guys that would have influenced me, that I've sort of looked up to and modeled my leadership skills around. And yeah, so I guess it would definitely be those two.
You can't go badly wrong with Mark Rumakainen and Geordie Gavin as mentors there. Kai, what about you, Sledge? Have you got some questions for Kai?
Just going to say, he's probably going to cop a spearing penalty for not mentoring his father, Jorma, in that last one. An excellent hockey player himself.
Yes, guys, I haven't played.
Kai, I was going to ask, who is your favourite Finnish ice hockey player of all time?
Of all time, you wouldn't be Finnish if you didn't say the Finnish Flash himself, Teemu Selanne. So, yeah, definitely, without a doubt, that's a no-brainer. He's he is the man. So, yeah.
I've got myself a Ducks Selanne jersey sitting in the cupboard here. Actually, I love a bit of Teemu. My next one is one player from an opposing team that you'd love to play with.
I'd love to play with. Oh, okay. It's a good one. I don't know. There's a lot of great players around this league, especially like having played on the national team last few years. There's a great mix of great guys and great talent there. So honestly, you could go any one of them. But a few of the guys that I've really sort of enjoyed playing with on the national team are guys like Robert Malloy, and Liam Webster. I think they're both really classy guys on and off the ice. I think they really lead their respective teams by example, and I think they're great teammates, and they'd be awesome to get a chance to play with outside of the national team. So I'll probably say either of them.
An excellent answer on that one. I don't think it's something we get to see enough with most of our Worlds games being played overseas. We don't get to see our local talent, which is cool to get that inside perspective from a player like yourself. Now, my next one, I asked Matt Harvey last week. I'm going to ask you, what is your go-to shootout move?
Go-to shootout move? Honestly, I have a tendency to get a little too creative and get a bit ahead of myself. But if I was to try to stick with one move, I would probably come in the left-hand side, which is pretty wide, which is my strong side, the left hand. And I'd try to go wide, and I'd cut in and sort of shimmy, a bit of a shimmy, as I do on the dance floor, and then try to slide it through the 5 hole. So, look, that's the ideal scenario, but whether or not it actually happens is probably a different story.
That head shaker gets them every time. I got stung with that one by Jimmy Byers, one of my first times on the ice. It's an excellent move. Now, Murray, did you have anything else for Kai?
Look, it's also worth just talking about the fact that Kai has been a Mighty Roos representative and the 10th highest scorer for the Brave over the last 6 years. And 10's not a bad number, Kai.
I'll take it.
But if you have a question for Kai, hit us up in the comments. We've got the Burning Brave questions next, and you can ask your own questions of Kai and get them answered right here. And in that on that note, let's move ahead to our burning questions segment. All right, so we've got a couple of questions coming through. First one's for Kai, and that was, what sort of hockey training do you recommend whilst you're in isolation?
Good question. Yeah, look, I would say, especially like with gyms being closed, it is a little tough to get into your ideal workout, especially if you had been following a program of some sort. Having said that, it's obviously not impossible. I mean, if you've got the determination, you can definitely get in shape and stay fit. Personally, I mean, ovals are everywhere. It's one of the things we're allowed to do is exercise out and about. So going, especially hockey-specific training, a lot of which is explosive and body weight. So I think there's a lot you can achieve that way. So yeah, there's definitely like that would be my go-to. I guess go to the Oval, do some sprints, mix in some body weight, squats and lunges and push-ups and that sort of general exercises. And I mean, you can never do enough core, and you don't really need gym equipment for that, and that's pretty important for hockey. So yeah, you can never do enough sit-ups, I guess.
Perfect. And we've got a question coming here for Dan Amodio. Dan, unlike Sydney, where the pool of younger players is so much greater, do the Braves focus on supporting local ice hockey, or focus more on scouting players from other states?
Well, realistically, if you're going to be a championship team in this league, you have to do both well. We've developed the Brave and local ice hockey ACT has developed some really great and promising young players. A handful of them got some time and even got a couple of points last season. And those guys are absolutely critical for the future of the sport. You look at someone like Kai and his journey through the junior ranks and up through, and there's no better example about why those guys are so important. That said, because our playing pool that we can choose from is not as large as what you kind of need to fill a full squad, you also have to be really good at identifying and recruiting key talent that can come in and help you win championships. Luckily, the Brave has developed such a great reputation over the last handful of years that we are actually in the situation where the operations team has players that are asking us if we have a spot for them, which puts us in a really strong position. But the answer to the question is you have to do both well. You've got to grow from within, but you also have to be able to attract talent from the outside, both domestically and internationally. And that's what the Brave have been able to do, and that's a key to their success.
Great answer. And we've got a question here from Sean O'Connor, an absolute redoubtable Brave fan. Has the roster been re-signed for 2021, or will we see changes from what would have been for 2020?
Yeah. We haven't quite gotten into 2021 thinking yet. It's the big shame out of this whole situation is that the hockey operations team, which is largely driven by Jamie Wilson and Jordy Gavin, put together one of the all-time great rosters for the 2020 season. I mean, a mix of local guys and some star imports coming over. It was just fixing up to be another classic championship team. So we haven't quite gotten into the 2021 conversations yet, but if we come back and if we are lucky enough to have everyone that was slated to play in 2020 on that roster next year, we're going to be a force then as well.
That'll be some great news. And we've got a comment from Mark Rumakainen. He'd like to see some dance moves from you, Kai.
I'll second that. Yep.
Yeah. We'd like some dancing on here, or do I have to go back to watch a YouTube clip?
No, I think unfortunately there's enough footage of me dancing around. All you probably have to do is ask the person next to you. They've probably got some.
Fair enough.
We've got another one here from Tim O'Yarton. Could we see a mixed squad game of baseball with the Cavs and the Brave?
Well, first off, it's very generous to offer a baseball game as opposed to an ice hockey game. But yeah, I think the Cavs guys would definitely be up for that. We had last year, one of the imports, Braden Lowe, came out to the ballpark and took some swings in the batting cage. He's got a little bit of baseball background growing up in Canada, but he had no problem connecting. And after seeing the Brave and what they can do, there's a lot of similarities in hand-eye coordination between them. And like I mentioned, they're going to be tough either way. So let's make a note of that because I would love to see that happen.
I'd certainly like to see the Cavalry guys get on the ice. I mean,
I don't think Kai's any stranger to a high sticking either, so he's probably good with a baseball bat.
Very true. Very true. I think that's all the questions we've got for today. So thanks, guys, for coming on board. And thanks to my wonderful co-host, Sledge, Dan Amodio, and Kai. And look, the lovely little Elvis there in frame, if you can see. Future hockey star for the CBR Brave.
Yeah, we were talking about junior development earlier. So here's the Rumo. Here's one of your next candidates for the Junior Brave program. We'll probably give him a couple months before we put him on ice, but something like that.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you, Brave fans, for joining in. Thank you to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful week, and looking forward to some of these restrictions getting lifted so we can come back and watch some hockey.
Thanks very much, Muzz, and thanks for tuning in, guys. And thank you very much to Dan and Kai. It's been excellent.
Not a problem.
Thanks, guys.
Have a wonderful week, guys. That's it from us.